Hey, what's up guys? Emo Cat Dad here, hanging out with you, bringing you yet another edition of Emo Cat Dad Listens. If you're new here, then thanks for stopping by. Let me briefly tell you what I'm doing here on your phone screen or tablet screen, whatever you're watching me on. Every day of 2024, I vow to check out a new band or artist. I check out 4 songs from across their discography, give you my initial thoughts on those songs, give you my ranking of the songs, and then of course my overall thoughts on the artist. You guys have been so kind, giving me tons of bands or artists that I absolutely need to check out. So please keep them coming. Get in those comments now. Give me suggestions of bands or artists that I absolutely need to check out, that you want to see me check out, and hopefully I'll get to them on a future episode. As you can see right there, today's artist is Powfu, or Powfu. I'm not really sure how to say it, but this was a kind suggestion from a person that told me, you know, the Deathbed Coffee for Your Head song, this is them. They had a song featured on a Rose Boy track, which I did, I don't know, like a week and a half ago, something like that. So I was like, okay, I liked him on the Rose Boy song. I know that Coffee for Your Head song because it was everywhere. So I knew I had to check this out, but I wasn't really sure how popular Powfu was. Turns out he's actually very popular, but because I don't know how to pronounce his name, I'm just going to call him Faber Drive Jr. That's right. During my cursory glance, I discovered that Powfu is the son of Dave Faber of Faber Drive. This guy right here. Which shocked me because this album came out in 2007. This was the debut album. So I was like, how is this guy old enough to make music? It turns out Dave Faber was 32 years old when that album came out. So he was already an elder emo. I'm now 34 and I have not released anything as good as that album. But his son sure has. Faber Drive Jr. is 25 years old and is already a Billboard chart-topping artist. So without any further ado, I guess we just dive into it. So the first song I checked out was I Can't Sleep. I don't sleep 'cause when I do, all I dream. Okay, so I really loved his flow on this record, but not the featured artist. The featured artist's sarcastic sounds, I really did not enjoy their parts at all. It was very distorted to begin with, which I'm not a big fan of to start, but also sounded like they were singing away from the mic, like the mic's here, and they were just singing like this. So it didn't sound great, but Powfu was great. The lyrics are pretty meh. Honestly, the vibe is very similar to Deathbed Coffee for Your Head, but the lyrics on that are so much better. Now I'm guessing that's because, you know, that came out 2 years after this, so he got better at songwriting. So I guess I'm not going to hold it too much against him since this was very early on in his career. Speaking of Deathbed, Coffee for Your Head, that song came off an EP called Poems from the Past. And also on that album was the song I'll Come Back to You.
And we'll make it through this part, if you wait for me.
Okay, so Sarcastic Sounds also features on this track, but they sound so much better. They're not turning away from the mic. It's a little faded vocally, but it's kind of more so treated as a backing vocal more than anything. So I was okay with it. Rose Boy's feature steals this song though. It happens right at the end. He gets basically third verse and outro to do his thing. He knocks it out of the park. I'm a big fan of his after doing one of these videos on him a couple weeks ago. So really glad to hear him on this, and as always, super good. Which is saying something, because Powfu also sounds great, and the lyrics are, as expected, much, much better. Alright, we're jumping 3 years to last year. Powfu teamed up with the Chainsmokers, who I'm sure you know, for the track Fault in the Stars. Okay, so like I said, Chainsmokers is a feature here, but it's strictly an electronic feature. There's no vocals from the duo. They just supply the beats. And honestly, the beats are pretty good. This is as upbeat of a track that we've heard so far, unsurprisingly, but it's still got Powfu's signature flow, so it's still undeniably one of his tracks, and honestly, the pairing works a lot better than I expected. The lyrics on this track were good as well, except in some parts they repeat. Not a fan of repeating lyrics, but other than that small thing, good track all around. Alright, and most recently, Powfu released a new EP with collaborator Jami, I hope I'm saying that right, last month, called The Fleeting Life of a Fool, and I checked out Blindside.
Half time and I'm still down. I don't see you.
Jami knocks their verse out of the park, another home run. Powfu really knows how to pick his collaborators, and they always deliver. Track itself is pretty heavily in metaphors, and I kind of dig that in my lyrics, so big thumbs up for this track. Once again, Powfu does well. Alright, so those were 4 tracks I checked out. Let's go ahead and rank them. Starting at number 1, I'll Come Back to You. There was 3 artists on this, Roseboy, Powfu, and Sarcastic Sounds. They all did what they needed to very, very well. When you get 3 artists teaming up and they all do something great, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a better number 1. Speaking of features doing great, at number 2 we got Blindside. Jami's verse was great. There was a little bit of lyrical repetition during the chorus, but it had this like female vocal in there. I'm not sure if that was a sample. I'm guessing so, because I know Coffee for Your Head was a sample, so I'm just assuming there, but you guys let me know if I'm wrong in the comments. So that was a little repetitive, but other than that, everything else was stellar. The music is exactly what you expect from Powfu. It's earwormy. His flow and melody is top-notch. Really good song all around. At 3, we're going Fault in the Stars. Like I said, this song's very upbeat. The most upbeat song out of any of these. But Powfu still delivers his signature sound. And it melds well with the Chainsmokers' electronics. My only issue was the repeating of the lyrics. It was a little heavier in this track. And we don't get that signature Powfu sound nearly as much, but that's to be expected with a big-time musical act featured. And finally at 4, I Can't Sleep. Sorry to all the OG Powfu heads. I just was brought down a lot on the song by Sarcastic Sounds feature. Like I said, it kept taking me out of it anytime I got this. It didn't work. I basically thought after that song was over, either this is going to be last or this is going to be a very disappointing video. Alright, so what are my overall thoughts on Faber Drive Jr.? Honestly, super talented. Not surprising given his father's lineage. He does a lot of his own writing and producing, so that's impressive on its own, especially given the jump lyrically they took from the song in 2018 to the 2 songs from 2020 that I know of. He's definitely become a better songwriter, and boy does he have an ear for talent. All his collaborators do well, with the exception of Sarcastic Sounds in 2018, but even they redeem themselves. Really excited to hear what comes from Powfu next. The good news is, you know he's not going to stop making music. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video right to the bitter end. I'm your friendly neighborhood Emo Cat Dad. I appreciate you so much, but I would appreciate you a lot more if you left me some suggestions in the comments. I need more bands or artists that I absolutely need to check out. You guys have been so kind, giving me all kinds of suggestions, most of which I've ended up actually really digging. So thank you for that. Let's keep it going. And while you're down in the comments, let me know your thoughts on Powfu. Had you known of this artist? Did you just find out from this that he's the one that did that viral Coffee for Your Head deathbed song? Last but not least, guys, I hope you stick around for the ride to see if maybe I get to some of those suggestions you've left by now, right? Right? And the best way to stick around is simply if you cut my wrist and hit subscribe. Emo Cat Dad signing off until tomorrow. I want to hear you sad.